So, what is Draft League? If you've ever played a Pokemon game, you're familiar with the Pokemon battles, right? One-on-one battles against your opponent until you KO every single one of their Pokemon. Draft League is just like that. Battles. Depending on the league, you'll pick a certain number of Pokemon, and every week against your opponent, you'll bring 6 of those Pokemon. For this particular league, we'll be using Pokemon Showdown. I'll touch more on this here in a little bit, but a little bit later. But you'll be able to customize your Pokemon uh, to meet the strategy that you want to bring versus your opponent. To be clear, I just want you to know you will not know what 6 Pokemon your opponent will bring, and you'll have to figure out which 6 Pokemon you will need to bring to give you the best chance of being victorious. So just remember, each opponent needs to bring 6 Pokemon. Let me emphasize that fact. If you do not, you will be disqualified from that battle and you will lose that match. So please, please, please bring 6 Pokemon. So how does draft work? If you've ever played in a fantasy football league, draft leagues work in a similar way. Depending on the league that you're on, you typically draft a team of 9 to 11 Pokemon from the same pool. From those Pokemon that you draft, as I said before, you'll be able to bring in a team of 6 Pokemon each week to face your opponent. The team to lose all their Pokemon first loses that match. So, what do we do when we draft Pokemon? The draft is when each player will pick their team. Players will take turns picking one Pokemon at a time. Once a Pokemon is picked, it can't be picked by another player. You are also not allowed to pick up more than one Pokemon that has the same Pokedex number. This is an example such as like duplicate Pokemons or a bunch of the different Raton forms, or any of the Paldea or Alolan forms, which you'll see on the draft board as well. After each turn, the draft order flips. So first becomes last, last becomes first. This is called a snake draft. Each player will have a budget, and you'll subtract the amount that the Pokemon is worth from your budget. Keep a close eye on that. In this league, you will need to draft 9 Pokemon total. 8 of those will cost points, and you'll be allowed to select one free Pokemon from the list, and I will point that out a little later once we start the draft. So for that first pick, the order will be reversed, and I will explain that when the draft starts. The doc will show your team as you pick them, along with the amount of points you have left. So please pay close attention to that. So, how are games played? So you've noticed. So I have this. I have actually Pokemon Showdown open at the moment. All of your games will be played on this website, Pokemon Showdown. The link for this website is on the doc. It is an online-based Pokemon simulator, and it allows you to customize your team of 6 Pokemon. Later on in this video, you'll see Stab and I having a quick battle just to showcase kind of how Showdown works. With Showdown, you'll be able to pick your moves, items, and invest points in whatever stat you deem fit. So how do you navigate Showdown? How do you build a team? So everything you need to focus on is over here on the left. To build your team, you'll have to click on Team Builder. Boom, right there. As you notice, I have a bunch of different teams here. So just to show you guys, I kind of already started a little bit on Charizard here. But to build a new team, you'll just click on New Team here. And next you'll be able to add on the Pokemon that you have on your team. So we'll just go ahead and click on Add Pokemon. So, let's play around with Charizard for a little bit since that's a well-known Pokemon. Awesome. I typed it in. Charizard's in there. Awesome. So great. Showdown is great because if you're new to the format, it actually has a bunch of explanations about the different items and even the abilities as well. It'll give you a little descriptor of them and the moves as well. If you notice, like it'll show you what move. So this portion of the list here where it says moves, underneath here, these are the most used moves on this particular Pokemon, on Charizard. Under here, usually it'll say usually useless moves. Sometimes you'll find a couple gems in there if you need them, but typically you'll be using this list here. Again, comes to the description. It's awesome. Take advantage of these tools, especially if you are new to the format. The other cool thing here too is that you'll be able to customize your EVs. So EVs, what they do is they add on points to the base stats of these Pokemon. So every single Pokemon for every single match will be set to level 100. So let's just go ahead and just build a team real quick, okay? So we're going to use, I don't know, let's do Heavy Duty Boots. Great item for Charizard. One of the things you'll encounter a lot in draft leagues is people tend to set up hazards. Hazards are things out in the field that every time you switch out your Pokemon, they take damage. So Heavy Duty Boots prevents that. It's really great for Charizard, especially with Stealth Rock out in the field. So we'll do Air Slash, we'll do Fire Blast, Ancient Power, and Dragon Pulse. Right? We want it all to be a special attacker. Awesome. So why don't we and its ability, right? Blaze, Solar Power. Let's go ahead and use Solar Power. So we have all of the moves for our Pokemon. Now let's go ahead and invest into the points. So if you notice down here, you have 508 points to invest in your Pokemon stats. For every 4 points that you invest into a stat, the stat itself increases by 1. So let me show you. Let's go ahead and look at special attack, right? So we'll add 4. So it goes from 254 to 255. So the max amount that you can invest in one move is 252 points, right? Notice how this bar over here went all the way to the end. So you can actually move this around if you don't want to type in the numbers. So 252 is the max that you can increase on one stat, or that you can input into one stat. So, in this case with Charizard, yeah, we want to make it a special attacker, and you know what? I want it to attack first, so let's go ahead as much as possible, right? Obviously, there's going to be other Pokemon that can outspeed it. So let's go ahead and invest 252 points into speed. So just to give you a heads up, you don't always have to invest 252 points into the stats that you want, because you will be able to see what Pokemon your opponent is bringing. You'll be able to strategize how many points you can invest in every single stat. So pay attention to that. So the next thing about building is that, notice the section here where it says nature. So nature actually can boost stats a little bit more. However, it comes at the cost of decreasing another stat. So let me just open up this menu for you. So notice like Adamant, for example, increases attack but decreases special attack. Bold decreases defense, or excuse me, increases defense but decreases attack, right? In this case, I want this Charizard to outspeed as many Pokemon as it can. So I'm going to increase its attack stat. So easiest thing to do is put a plus sign on the stat you want to increase. And because we don't want to decrease its special attack, let's go ahead and decrease its attack. We have no moves that benefit from the attack stat. Notice these symbols here. This blue one means, this symbol here means it's a special attack. This symbol here means that it's a physical attack, right? So our Charizard is leaning towards special attack. So we'll go ahead and decrease the attack. We have no use for it. So once I'm done with this Pokemon, there's other things you can do. You can change it into a shiny form. Terra type is really great, so we'll be using Terra in this league. This only applies to your Terra captains. Basically, what Terra is it allows the Pokemon to change its typing. So in this case of Charizard, it's a fire flying. So we hate that against rock type. So maybe we want to bring a more defensive typing depending on the opponent's team, but we'll bring fairy in this example. And at one point or another during the match, I can convert the typing of this Charizard to a fairy type. Okay. So it's really great. It's a great tool. I encourage you guys to mess around with it. I encourage you guys to ask us to help with mock battles to help prepare you for the match that week. Yeah. So those are really the big things that about team building here. If you have any questions, obviously please reach out to me, reach out to Nolan, reach out to Travis as well. But please, I encourage you, please reach out to me. Remember, and then you'll just hit this plus sign to continue on to your next Pokemon. Please let me emphasize again. Bring 6 Pokemon to every single battle. Otherwise, it's an automatic loss for you. Please, please, please keep that in mind, okay? Next, we'll be showing you guys how to do some battles. Okay, the screen is recording now. All right, you guys. So if you were wanting to challenge another opponent, you're going to click over here where it says Find a User. You're going to click on that. And in this case, Nolan is going to be helping me here. So we're going to type in his name. There he is, TTN Stab. You're going to click on Challenge. This little orange screen right here is going to pop up, right? So right here where it says Format, this is where you're going to pick what type of format you want. So in our case, typically you will either do Draft. Draft is fine in this here, or you can do a custom game. But just for simplicity for this season, we're going to click on Draft, and we're going to stick to Draft. So you'll click here, and then you're going to pick the team you're going to be using. So Stab and I built a couple of teams here, so just to show you guys what what's going to be happening next. So make sure that you guys also click on Terra Type Preview here. If you do not, this will allow us to know like which Terra typing your Terra Captain has, and it's going to be mandatory for every single match during this season. All you have to do is just click on that little box right there. Checkmark shows up. You're good to go. Make sure you select the right team. Once you start the match, unless your opponent is okay with forfeiting and restarting again, you're stuck using that team. All right, so we're going to go ahead and click Challenge. Takes a minute here. Awesome. Stab accepted. So now this screen here is the team preview. As you can see, over on the top here, it's Stab, and then me over here at the bottom. So your side is always going to be here towards the bottom. So if you hover over these little icons, you can get a little bit more information on the team, speed tiers, or the range of the speed that they could be, this Pokemon could have, possible abilities that they have, and then down here is your team. Same thing. You hover over the icon of your Pokemon, and it'll give you more information: what item your Pokemon has, its ability, all of its stats, its moves, typings, everything. So here in the middle, by where the chat box is, you can see that it shows the typings, right? So these are all the Terra types that these Pokemon have. So typically, your Terra Captain will usually have one that's different. So in this case, Suicune, it's a grass type. And then Nolan looks like they have no Terras, or maybe they do. Maybe they just decided to keep one of the same typing as the other one. Terra, Dark Masquerada. Okay, cool. And it's always good to always just type it into the chat and just check in with your opponent just to make sure. Um, there's a little timer button here, but we're not going to be using that this season. Cool. So right now we just need to select our lead, and then the match will start. So we'll go ahead and just we'll start off with Raging Bolt for this one. Once both people have picked a leading Pokemon, the match starts. So we'll just click something here. We'll just so these are all my moves that this Pokemon has. So now look up here. So I hover over the actual image of my opponent's Pokemon. Gives me a little bit more information, right? The speed range that it could be, the typing, and the ability. So yeah, in this case it's Unnerve. So we'll do Draco Meteor here. Notice what Stab just did. He threw out what's called Sticky Web. This is a hazard. This is a hazard move. So in this case, Sticky Webs, just anytime a Pokemon comes out and lands on those webs, my Pokemon speeds gets lowered. So there's a ton of different hazards in the game. I'll let y'all do your own research on that. But there are a couple of moves that can get rid of hazards: Defog and Rapid Spin. Cool. So we'll go ahead and just use another move here. So we'll use Draco Meteor. And Stab just used Volt Switch, which allows him to switch out his Pokemon. Pretty fun. All right, cool. And then Shirachi. So this next move that I'm going to be using is called Thunderclap. It's a priority move. Super, basically, it does what it sounds like. It usually will go first, no matter the speed tiers. So notice how um, his spider Pokemon, the Galvantula, went first in the last turn. That's because it's a faster Pokemon than my Raging Bolt. But in this move, I just use Thunderclap. It's a priority move, which went first before this Jirachi. And this Jirachi is definitely faster than I am. Cool. Awesome. And then you can keep switching out your Pokemon as well, whether you use a move or you're using, um, or if you just decide to switch one of them out. And I'll show you guys how to do that here real quick. So I don't like this matchup, Raging Bolt versus Galvantula. I'm going to switch into Entei. Boom. And then notice how my speed dropped because of the sticky webs here. I'm even slower now because of paralysis. So this is great here. So this what he just used, Thunder Wave, was a status move. There's Paralyze, Burn, Toxic, and Sleep. This game automatically has a Sleep clause if you look up here. Limit one foe put to sleep per game. So once one Pokemon is asleep, don't use that move again because it's not going to work. But you can Toxic, Burn, and Paralyze as many Pokemon as you want. So yeah, so then the point of the game right now is to KO all of the 6 Pokemon on your opponent's side. Once that happens, you win the game. So as you guys can see, there's a lot of things you can do within battling it. It's very easy to do, but you just have to strategize every week and figure out what the best game plan is going to be versus your opponent. And hopefully your strategy wins out. That way you can claim that win. So yeah, not a very difficult thing to do with battles. But and if you guys ever have any questions, definitely reach out to me. You can always ask questions in the chat as well. We're all here to help out and please use all your resources that we make available to you guys. So we're not going to go through the whole battle here just because sometimes these can take a little bit long, but we just wanted to show you just kind of what the format or how Showdown works when it comes to battles.